Hi, and welcome back to part 2 of the Thinking Skills Answer Guide videos for the 2023 Selective paper. For part 2, we'll continue on with question 11. I hope you watched and enjoyed part 1 because it's really important that you watch all 4 parts for a complete understanding of the paper. So, on to question 11. You can only go on the ride at the theme park if you are at least 12 years old or are with an adult. So the box is telling us that you can only be on the ride at the theme park in the first place if you are either 12 or older or you are with an adult. So one of these must be true for you to be on the theme park, or one of these must apply. Okay, to this, Robbie says, Bindi just went on the ride with her father, so she must be less than 12 years old. Now, there is a problem with Robbie's statement. Robbie is assuming that just because Bindi is with her father, that means that she is younger than 12. But that doesn't have to be true. Because maybe Bindi's father just likes the ride at the theme park. Just because Bindi's father is with her does not mean that she is younger than 12. The box doesn't say anywhere that just because you're with an adult, you're younger than 12. It simply tells us that you can only be on the ride with an adult if you are younger than 12. Okay, that's an important distinction. So what Robbie's saying, Robbie is assuming too much. What he's saying is too much of an assumption. He's assuming too much. His reasoning isn't correct from what has been given in the box. Cohen, however, says, but Nicole was on her own on the ride, so she must be at least 12 years old. Now, what Cohen is saying, his reasoning is correct according to the box, because the box tells us you can only go on the ride at a theme park if you are 12 years old or older or with an adult. So Nicole is on the ride, but she's on her own, so that must mean that she is 12 or older. So Cohen, his reasoning is correct. So if the information is in the box, if the information in the box is true, whose reasoning is correct? Cohen only. Question 12. The captain has decided to choose a team of 4 people for this weekend's match. There are only 5 of the possible players available this weekend, and the captain needs to make sure that the team satisfies the following rules. Terence, Lachlan, and Neville cannot all be on the team, but at least one of them must be on it. So that means you can't have Terence and Lachlan and Neville, but you could have, for example, Terence and Lachlan, or you could have Terence and Neville, or you could have Lachlan and Neville. But you cannot have Terence and Lachlan and Neville. Next, we're told that Lachlan and Cecil cannot both be on the team. So you have to have either Lachlan or you can have Cecil. And finally, Prash can only be on the team if Cecil is. So if you have Prash, you have to have Cecil. Now we're going to work backwards from here to find out the combination that's possible for the team. So if you have Prash, you have to have Cecil. But if you have Cecil, you can't have Lachlan, right? So we have to get rid of Lachlan. Now, if you can't have Lachlan, you can't have Lachlan and Neville. And you can't have Terence and Lachlan either. What you can have is Terence and Neville. So this is the combination of 4 people that works. Terence and Neville, Prash and Cecil, given the information that we've been given. So which person will not be on the team? Lachlan will not be on the team. So the answer is D. Question 13. 5 friends, Annie, Bailey, Callie, Dom, and Ella, have started collecting old coins. Dom has 1 more coin than Annie. So Dom has 1 more than Annie, so he's above her in the order. Bailey has 1 more than Ella. So we know Bailey is somewhere. We don't know yet if he's above or below Dom and Annie, but Bailey has 1 more than Ella. Okay? Callie has twice as many as Bailey. And we know that Bailey only has 1 more than Ella, so that means Callie definitely has more than Ella. Meanwhile, Dom has twice as many as Ella. So we know that Dom doesn't have more than Callie because Dom only has twice as much as Ella, but not twice as much as Bailey. And Bailey has 1 more than Ella. So we know Dom's going to be above Bailey but not above Callie. We also know that Annie and Dom are only 1 coin apart. So Annie has to be between Dom and Bailey. Okay, so this is our order. Callie has the most coins and Ella has the least. Altogether, the 5 friends have a total of 26 coins. Which one of the following has 4 coins? So we're going to work with the options here. So if Annie has 4 coins, we know that Dom has 1 more coin than Annie. That would mean Dom has to have 5 coins, right? And we also know that Dom has twice as many as Ella. That means Ella has half the amount Dom has. And half of 5 is 2.5. Ella can't have 2.5 coins because you can't break a coin in half. They aren't collecting halves of coins, they're collecting coins. So this isn't possible. Annie having 4 coins doesn't work with the information we've been given, so A is not the answer. If Bailey has 4 coins, we know that Bailey has 1 more than Ella. That would mean Ella has 3 coins. And we also know that Dom has twice as many as Ella. That would mean Dom has 6 coins. We know Dom has 1 more coin than Annie. That would mean Annie has 5 coins. And we know that Callie has twice as many as Bailey. That would mean Callie has 8 coins. And if we add up all these numbers, so 4 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5 plus 8, we get 26, which we're told here. Altogether, the 5 friends have a total of 26 coins. So if Bailey has 4 coins, the information that we've been given matches our working out, and so the answer is B. Bailey has 4 coins. Question 14. Becca helps her grandfather take care of the flowers he's planted in his garden. She showed him an app on her phone that identifies a plant simply by taking a photo of it. Her grandfather said, that won't help you be a good gardener. A gardener needs to be able to know, without always relying on someone or something else, what kind of plant it is they're looking at. Which one of these statements, if true, most weakens his argument? First, we need to identify that Grandpa's argument is that a good gardener shouldn't have to rely on something else or someone else to know what they're looking at. Now, when we look at the options, A, there are many different kinds of plants available to gardeners in most places. This doesn't really have anything to do with Grandpa's argument. It doesn't relate to Grandpa's argument at all because it's just talking about how there's many different kinds of plants. It doesn't really say anything about or relate to how Grandpa's talking about not relying on someone or something else. So A doesn't really make sense because it's not really relevant. B, the app does not always correctly identify the plant being photographed. This doesn't weaken Grandpa's argument. Instead, it supports Grandfather's argument because it's saying that the app isn't reliable. You can't rely on someone or something else. So you can't rely on someone or something else to know what kind of plant it is you're looking at, and the app isn't reliable anyway. So this supports Grandpa's argument, it doesn't weaken. C, people are able to appreciate the beauty of plants without knowing what kind they are. Once again, this isn't really relevant to Grandpa's argument. It neither strengthens or weakens it because it's talking about the beauty of plants, not really relying on anything like Grandpa's argument is talking about. But finally, D, experienced gardeners often use books to help them identify plants. This weakens Grandpa's argument because it's talking about how experienced gardeners, good gardeners, even they rely on something else. They use books to help them identify plants. Therefore, D weakens Grandpa's argument. Question 15. The ukulele is a musical instrument from Hawaii. It looks a bit like a small guitar. More and more schools have selected this instrument for their younger children because it is easy to play. This means they can quickly start to play music together. Actively listening and working with others helps them learn to interact with each other better. Ray says if they gave Tony's class ukulele lessons for a term, they would probably get on with each other better. This makes sense with what we're being told in the box because Ray is taking the information that ukulele lessons helps children interact better, and Ray is saying that, or reasoning that Tony's class learning ukulele would help them get on with each other better. So Ray's reasoning works with what we've been told in the box. Pablo, meanwhile, says, but it's not possible to give ukulele lessons to the whole class. That means that some of them will never learn to get along. Now, the problem with Pablo's reasoning is that he's assuming that since the box tells us that ukulele lessons help children get along better, the people who don't get ukulele lessons don't learn how to get on with people. That's not true. The box is simply telling us that the ukulele lessons improve children learning to get on with each other better or help each other to get on with each other better. It doesn't say anything about some of them never learning to get along. It doesn't say anything about people who haven't had ukulele lessons not getting along better, right? So Pablo's reasoning doesn't make sense with what we're told in the box, and therefore, if the information in the box is true, whose reasoning is correct? Ray only. Okay, and now we move on to question 16. Sunny has 5 dominoes. 2 of Sunny's dominoes are shown below. Sunny joins his dominoes end to end so that the 2 numbers on touching faces of adjacent dominoes are the same. He puts the 2 dominoes shown above at the ends and the 3 others in between them as shown. So we know that this face has 4, so that would mean the next face, because it's touching it, also has to have 4, right? The next face of the next domino. Because we're told here that the 2 numbers on touching faces of the adjacent dominoes, so dominoes that are next to each other. So that would mean here, this space would have to have 3 dots. Okay? Which could be the 3 dominoes shown above as blank. So the first domino over here, left to right, one face or one end would have to have 4 dots. So let's assume that we start with this middle domino. Okay, this one first. And this face is over here with 4 dots. Now then, the next face will have to have 2 dots, right? Because the other end has 2. So if we have 2, this side will also have to have 2 because these 2 dominoes are touching, or these 2 faces are touching, and it's the next domino over. So that would mean we would start with this domino in the second place. So if we have 2 here, then this face will have to have 3. But if we have 3 here, then this face will also have to have 3, and that would mean that this end will end up here as 4. That doesn't make sense with the information we've been given, so it can't be A. Let's try B. Let's say we start with this domino over here because it's got the 4. So we start with 4 dots over here. Then because the next end has 2, we end up with 2 here. And then that would mean this face touches this 2 over here. And the other end to this domino is a 5. So we put the 5. That would mean this domino is the last one in the sequence. So this is this one over here because it has to touch. So 5. And the last face is 3. Oh, sorry, not 4, 5. And the last face is 3, which makes perfect sense with our pattern. And that's why the answer is B. Now we move on to question 17. In the Darawal calendar, the year is divided into 6 seasons like this. Boron has January to March, then it's April to June, June to July, July to August, September to October, and November to December. My sister's birthday occurs in the season after my birthday, so the 2 seasons have to be next to each other. However, our birthdays are almost 6 months apart. In which season is my sister's birthday? Okay, is it Boron? If the sister's birthday is in Boron, okay, that would mean that the person's birthday, the narrator's birthday, would have to be in Paradoi because Baran would have to happen after Paradoi. But if we assume that the person's birthday is in November and the sister's birthday is in March, November to March, December, January, February, March, that's not 6 months apart. It's only 4 months apart. So it can't be Baran. If the sister's birthday is in Marigang, then the person's birthday is in Baran. And if the person's birthday or the narrator's birthday is in January and the sister's birthday is in June, January to June is 6 months apart. So you have January, February, March, April, May, June. That's 6 months. And that's why the answer is B. So we've got 2 seasons that are next to each other. The sister's season, birthday season happens after the narrator's birthday season, and it's 6 months apart. Then we move on to question 18. Some people think that being brave means not being afraid of anything, but this is wrong. A brave person is someone who does whatever they need to do, even if they do feel afraid. Okay? Zinyi says, Simon is afraid of flying, but he got on the plane anyway, because there was no other way to visit his grandparents. He must be a brave person. This matches what we've been told in the box, because the box talks about how you're brave when you're afraid, but you still do something because it's what you need to do, right? And Zinni is talking about how Simon is afraid of flying, so he's afraid of something, but he does it anyway because it's something he needs to do to visit his grandparents. And that's why he's brave. This matches the definition of brave that we're given in the box. And then William says, actually, anyone who gets on an airplane must be brave. Now, William is wrong because everyone who gets on an airplane, not everyone who gets on an airplane is afraid of flying. So by getting on an airplane, they're not confronting their fears. They don't have to be brave to get on an airplane because they're not afraid of flying in the first place. And that's why William's reasoning is not correct if the information in the box is true. And that's why our answer to 18 is A. Only Zinyi's reasoning is correct if the information in the box is true. Question 19. James and 4 of his friends are all collecting from the same set of cards. The cards are sold in packs of 15 for $10 each, but the shop sells 3 of the packs for $25. James and his friends each have $20, so they decide to put the money together and buy as many packs as possible. They will then share the cards out equally among themselves. How many more cards does James get by buying them with friends rather than by himself? So let's do the working out. So we know you can either get 1 pack of 15 cards, so 15 cards for $10 each, or you can get 3 packs. So if there's 15 cards in each pack, 3 times 15 gets us 45 cards altogether for $25. Now we know that there's 5 people, right? There's James and then 4 of his friends. So that's 5 people in total. They each have $20. So altogether, they have $100 between them. Now, the first option is they all buy together. If they do this, they've got $100 and you can get 45 cards, which is a lot more than 15 for $25. So let's divide 100 by 25 and you get 4. So they can buy 4 lots of 3 packs or 4 times 45 cards, which is equal to 180 cards. Because there's 5 people, you have to divide 180 by 5 to see how much they each get. And 180 divided by 5 is 36 cards. So they would get 36 cards each. The second option is James buys by himself. Here, James only has $20. So he definitely can't buy 45 cards for $25 because he only has 20 and 20 is less than 25. So what he can do is he can buy the $10 option, right? So if he buys, first of all, 20 divided by 10 is equal to 2. So he can buy 2 lots of 15 cards. 2 times 15 is equal to 30. So James would get 30 cards if he bought them by himself. And what's the difference between 30 and 36? 6. So how many more cards does James get by buying them with friends rather than by himself? He gets 6 more cards. Question 20. Leonie has just been listening to the radio. She says, the weather forecast said we are in for a very hot spell. I don't think it will be as hot as last December though. Last December was the hottest December ever, so it is unlikely to be as hot as it was then. Which one of these statements, if true, most weakens Leonie's argument? Okay. So A, the average temperatures in December have been rising steadily over the last 5 years. Now, this definitely weakens Leonie's argument because Leonie says that last year was the hottest December, and because it was the hottest December recorded, this year can't possibly be hotter, right? Because last year was the hottest. But then A is saying, no, every December has been getting hotter and hotter every year because the temperatures have been rising steadily. So A definitely weakens Leonie's argument, but let's look at the other options before we circle A. B says, it is difficult to make accurate long-term predictions about the weather. This doesn't really weaken Leonie's argument. It's a very vague statement and it's not really directly related. B is not as strong of a potential answer as A. C says, temperatures are often even hotter in January than they are in December. Once again, what does January have to do with what Leonie's saying? And then D, weather forecasts in newspapers, online, and on TV are also predicting a very hot December. This does weaken Leonie's argument, but the key word here is, which one of these statements most weakens Leonie's argument? And A is much stronger in doing this than D, and that's why our answer is A. And that brings us to the end of part 2 of the thinking skill videos. Please tune into part 3, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.